Sure, horsepower is fun, but stopping power is essential. So before you go splurging on a Brembo master cylinder or bolt on some shiny new steel braided hoses to get your shoddy braking performance into this century, why not start somewhere a lot cheaper and a bit easier? Like just cleaning out your brake calipers. Although you should be warned, plenty of elbow grease will be required. Because it's a bit of a hidden area, brake calipers are often overlooked when it comes to cleaning. But luckily, since brake dust has such a reputation, it even has its own cleaner, the uncreatively named brake cleaner. Occasionally, you can find good value kits for brake cleaning, but I decided to assemble my own kit for obvious reasons. If you are known to apply cleaning products rather generously, then you should probably get 2 cans of brake cleaner. Definitely a brush of sorts to help dislodge the grime, maybe a cloth to clean up the mess, and obviously whatever tools are required to remove your brake calipers and brake pads. Now, your brakes might not even look dirty from the outside, but you see, when you grab a handful of brake lever, or just one finger to keep it cool, it actuates the master cylinder, forcing brake fluid down the brake lines and into your calipers, which in turn drives the pistons out of the caliper, pressing your brake pads against your brake disc to bring you to a safe stop. However, the braking material on the brake pad that wears down due to its tough life has to go somewhere, and although it tends to go absolutely everywhere, it's not such a big deal to clean brake dust off of your mudguard. However, a lot of dust struggles to find its way out of the confined caliper, gradually building up inside, and can eventually lead to seized pistons, which drastically affects braking. So cleaning them before you get to that point is probably easier. Shake can vigorously. Use in a well-ventilated area. I don't think this counts. How tough can it be? This was more of an OCD exercise than my brakes actually giving me problems. But it all kicked off with a little disassembly. I decided to clean one caliper at a time, so I removed the first front caliper from the fork. If you are in a rush, or you just aren't OCD, you could clean the caliper as it is. But to get more effective results, I decided to remove the brake pads to clean all the retaining pieces individually. Fortunately, my pistons were relatively clean already. However, the retaining spring and pin could do with a little less grime on them. With a bucket of soapy water at the ready to clean up the mess that will inevitably come out of the calipers, I could finally drench them in brake cleaner. In addition to not being tested on bunnies, Muc-Off brake cleaner smells a lot less toxic than a lot of other brake cleaners. I also found that its short nozzle helps angle the pressurized cleaner where you need it, which helps blast out stubborn grime. Although I would definitely suggest wearing gloves if you have a pair on hand, because it doesn't feel very healthy on your skin. Those original instructions made the process sound effortless, claiming that once the cleaner had evaporated, you could just wipe the grime off with a dry cloth. However, as you might expect, that doesn't paint the full picture. So the detailing brush came out very quickly to lend a helping hand. Judging by the dark puddle that was forming, the spray alone was having a decent effect on the muck. But the brushes managed to get into the tight places and agitate the remaining dust. I also eventually learned that you should never underestimate the power of your fingers in a cloth. They're a lot handier than I expected. After that, it was the disc's turn for some TLC, and I wasn't prepared to tackle that without the help from a paddock stand, which was when I noticed just how good my front wheel bearings actually are. Turns out brakes really do slow you down. Still going. It was difficult not to get too pedantic about the discs, with their infinite crevices and holes. But after rinsing off all the pieces and drying them the best I could, they were all looking not quite brand new, but at least like a well cared for second-hand bike. The satisfying part was the reassembly process, because it's quite nice to work with brakes without getting your hands dirty again. The second front caliper got the exact same process, starting with disassembly, a soaking in brake cleaner, plenty of scrubbing with and without the brush, rinsing with my patented flossing technique, drying, and finally reassembly, where the front calipers were symmetrically clean again and my OCD could be bugged a little less. The rear caliper was in the worst shape of the three. I assume its position further back on the bike means it might encounter harsher conditions in the rain, but as a result, it had more to gain from the same cleaning process. So although they will most definitely be filthy before I know it, in the meantime I have found the best angle to appreciate just how clean they are at the moment. And that was that. Although the exterior looks exactly the same, I will sleep better at night knowing my brake calipers are clean and healthy. After all, judging by the mark left on the floor, there was a fair bit of grime that needed to be removed. And surprisingly, despite my generous usage, there was really no need for 2 cans of Muc-Off, especially if you only have one caliper on the front. It did do its job quite well. The brushes made my life much easier. However, I would suggest getting stronger bristles if your calipers have a lot of built-up grime to knock out. All in all, this is a great bit of maintenance to do on a bike of any age or type, without breaking the bank. But anyway, let me know when last you cleaned out your brake calipers, or if you plan on doing it soon, and I'll see you on the next ride.